Hi everyone, this is Hiba from My Little Journal, and today I'm excited to start my new 2023 Me, Myself, and I album. As you guys know, I do have a kit. I will have it linked in the description box for you. This kit was a collaboration with Studio Calico, and we really wanted to put together a kit to help you document yourself in 2023. So I'm going to start with my 4x4 cover for my album. I really wanted to make it my own. So what I decided to do is actually use my paint pen to add a little color to my embossed title and use those wood veneers around it just so it can kind of stand out. Now, when I end up adding the wood veneers, I still felt like my cover needed a little something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with pattern paper. I wanted something bright. I wanted something colorful. So I'm going to go with a very simple white pattern paper with a bit of flowers. Now, covering the whole thing with the pattern paper would end up covering my title. So what I end up doing is using my dies. I went with my square dies, and I'm just gonna cut out a little window for my title. I will still be able to see the pattern paper and be able to use that title as well. So it worked out pretty well. Now my paper is smaller. I didn't have this pattern paper in a larger size. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back up the cover with my prompts. Now I've been asked a lot about my prompts. I do have it linked on Pinterest and also on Instagram, and I will link it down in the description box for you. The prompts are very simple. It's prompts that will help you document yourself. So I literally just printed my prompts on some photo paper, and I'm going to back up the center of my cover with my prompts. That way, you don't see the back of the cover and how my paper wasn't able to cover it. And I have my prompts in my album for years to come. Now I am using some hefty duty tape here to hold my pattern paper down, just because I know this album is going to be flipped through a bunch of times. I just want to make sure that the pattern paper sticks. So I use some double-sided tape. And once I stick that down, I'm going to grab my prompt list and add that to the back cover up the space where my pattern paper wasn't big enough to cover. Now, I did want to recommend to punch out your holes while you're working on each spread so you don't forget. So throughout my album, I'm going to be using the We Are Memory Keepers hole punch. This thing is a beast. I love it. Yes, it's pricey, but I totally recommend it. It can cut through really thick cardboard, honestly. And I love that it has 5 different hole sizes, so you can use it for any type of project you are working on. Anyways, once I'm done punching out my holes, I'm going to go ahead, add my wood veneers, and it makes a huge difference. It helps my title stand out, and it breaks down that white from my pattern paper. Let's go ahead and start with prompt number 1, which is me, and it's all about documenting yourself. I am going to be trimming down this collage that I created of photos of myself. And it's really the same photo, but in different positions, basically. And what I thought I would do was have a 4x4 and these smaller photos to add somewhere on my spread. I haven't decided how or when or where, but I'm going to set my smaller photos aside and start with my prompt card. Now, what I love about this little album that it has all the prompt cards, so you don't have to stamp out your own prompt card or make your own. They are all available in the kit, so all 31 prompts. I'm going to punch out my holes because I want to try to remember to punch the holes before I journal, before I decorate, before I do anything. And I'm thinking here that I'm going to trim a little cutout through my photo to add my smaller photos. And I'm just basically measuring where I want the cutout. I couldn't find my metal ruler, so I'm just going to use one of my dies to help me or to guide me through this, and it worked out perfectly. And I just created a little slit through my photo, and I'm going to slide my collage through the open slot. And I thought it was a nice little add-on, a great little interactive element for my photo. So around this point, I noticed that I needed to back up my photo for my first prompt. So I went through my 4x4 cards and I really like this framed card. So I'm going to use it to back up my first prompt. And it was a good spot for me to also add the year. Because I've been working on this project for 3 years now, I want to keep up with the year. So I'm just going to use that first page, basically my title page, to add the year. So I'm just going to grab this older Paper Person Shop stamp set. I'm going to stamp 2023. And to add a little something to my year, I'm going to use the stamp set from the kit to create a little cluster. So I decide to go with the circle from that stamp set. And within the circle, I'm going to stamp me, myself, and I. And I'm also going to use some of my word stickers. These word stickers have become a favorite while working in my little album here. Just love the colors. And as you guys know, I love word stickers. And I feel like when you're creating clusters, word stickers are your friend. So I'm just going to add, this is me. And then I'm going to go back to prompt number 1 to complete my page. I just didn't want to forget about my little title card and backing up my photo. Like I said, creating in these types of albums, you have to remember to punch the holes, to back up your photos so you don't mix things up. Anyways, I went back to my kit. I wanted to add a little something to my photo strip here so I can pull it out easily. So I went with a heart chipboard and I'm going to add number 1 to my prompt card. And I remembered that I had these adorable acetate numbers. I thought they would be a nice little add-on to kind of represent how old I am in 2023. And it's a fun little interactive element for my album as well. I also wanted to figure out how to add these numbers into my album without sticking them down to a card. I remembered that I had the Studio Calico little attachments and they have the holes. They're transparent, so they worked out perfectly. The only thing is that you have to make sure that you're aligning the holes to the holes of your card. And that took a little bit of time, but it worked out perfectly. You can barely see them. And this is what I was looking for. I wanted them to kind of be transparent and a little add-on to my album. So I just used these attachments and it looked really, really good. I'm so happy that I thought of this because I love the numbers and these attachments were perfect to add them into my mini album. Now that I'm done with that, I can use some of my stamps to add a little something to my title. And I went with Here's the Story. And I decided this year that I'm going to handwrite my journaling. I feel like it's more personal, even though I hate my handwriting, but also it's a nice change. I always type out my journaling. So this time around, I'm going to try it. I'm going to just write it myself. It doesn't look that bad. And I think by the end of the month, when I'm done with my album, I'm not even going to notice my handwriting. Anyways, I did add some washi tape just to bring in some more color and to kind of balance things out, and called prompt number 1 done. And we can move on to prompt number 2, which is your favorite food. I will punch out my holes. I did create a collage of some of my favorite foods, and I'm going to go through my kit to find the prompt for favorite food. Once I grab that prompt, I'm going to start stamping. and adding my numbers. So like I said, this kit, if you purchase this kit, that's really all you need to put this album together. I did have this pattern paper that I had trimmed out earlier throughout the day, and I thought it worked well to add a little color on the side with my punched holes. So I went ahead and added that. Also, you can use washi tape if you wanted to add more color to your prompt cards because they are pretty white. So definitely recommend that. Once I punch my holes, I'm going to start stamping. I wanted to add a little title or subtitle to my prompt. So I went through my food stamps and I grabbed one that said, "This is what happens when I'm left alone," because literally this is what happens. I spend it eating. So I'm just going to stamp that in that little box. And then I'm going to use my Me, Myself, and I stamp set to add a little something to my card. Because I knew I was going to do kind of a list type of journaling, I didn't need all this space. So I'm going to end up stamping the circle. I will stamp a little chocolate bar in the center and also stamp food. Now, this stamp set is a buildable stamp set, and I didn't notice that it was a 3 buildable stamp for my chocolate bar. So I end up coming back later and filling out the spots I forgot to fill out to create my chocolate bar, if that makes sense. But it turns out really, really cute. I went with very subtle muted colors because I do have a lot of color coming from my photo. Once I'm done stamping that out, I'm going to grab my Zig Dot markers to help me create a list of my favorite food. I love these markers. They're perfect for list making. I'm just going to add a dot and then just journal about my favorite food. And once I finish adding my lists, I end up having this white space or this spot in the corner that looked very bare. So I'm just going to go through my chipboards. The kit comes with circle chipboards. One of them had a chocolate bar. It matched my stamping. So I went with it. And I really like it. I think it filled up that space and it obviously matched my card and my stamping. So when I was creating my collage, I made sure to leave that center spot empty so I can stamp or add an embellishment. But I decided to go with stamping and I just stamped "tastes as good as it looks" and basically call prompt number 2 done. I'm just going to back it up with my photos and my prompt card from prompt number 1. And I like to do this as I go so I don't get confused. I am almost done. I'm just going to grab my album cover and put all the cards and photos in place. I do also, you can tell here that I was already getting confused. That's why I like to do it as I go. But anyways, I'm just going to use these smaller rings for now. And as my album grows, I can go bigger with my rings. While I was adding my cards to my rings, I noticed that strip of photos that I added to prompt number 1 looked kind of bare because once you open the title page, there was nothing to back up that photo strip. So what I decided to do is just grab a word sticker and add it to the top. That way it adds a little something there and it doesn't look bad. But anyways, at this point, I can call prompt number 1 and 2 done. Don't forget to use the hashtag Me, Myself, and I or Me, Myself, and I 2023. I'd love to see your projects and also to inspire other crafters on how they can document themselves in 2023. I do believe the Me, Myself, and I kit is still available, which I will link in the description box for you. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.